यस सर।
हिमांशु स्क्रीन शेयर कर।
यस सर कर दिया सर। थोड़ा मेरे एंड पे भी क्या कनेक्टिविटी इशू हो रहा था तो मैं डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया था सर, सॉरी सर।
कोई नहीं। So this is what we are talking about, the erector spinae group of muscle, which is made up of medially it is made by spinalis, centrally by longissimus, and laterally by iliocostalis. The function of this is it helps in extension of vertebral column and head, controlling of the flexion of vertebral column by gradual lengthening, and if it works unilaterally, it leads to the lateral flexion of the vertebral column. If you see about the hip musculature, many muscles are involved in this. We'll talk about the gluteus medius, maximus. These are the common muscles which are involved. The gluteus group and the piriformis muscle. You know very well about this gluteus muscle. Another important muscle group is psoas, which helps in flexion of hip. It helps in flexion of trunk at hip. It helps in external rotation of hip and the lateral flexion of the trunk. Now, if you see a person who is doing this punching activity, see the prime movers are the lower limb muscles, which is generating the force, and the direction of force is towards the upper limb, right side, which has been transferred through the rigid core. Now, let me give you one example. See this hanky, it is not having any core. If I try to hit with this, it is not going to affect much. If I take in the place a weight cuff, which is having a solid core in the form of the sand, and if I hit like this, it puts better impact. So similarly, you can see it here. Another example, if I is also generating the force by sweating down and generating the force, and which is being transferred to the upper body to the lifting of the weight. If you take another, now see this cyclist. This person is generating, propelling the cycle by keeping the rigid core. If you see about the various games, everywhere the role of core is very well defined. If this cyclist is not able to hold the core, what will happen? He will fall down at the forward side and he won't be able to cycle faster than the other competents. If you see this golfer, what he is generating the force by taking rotatory component of the spine and hitting the ball. See this hockey player, I gave you an example before itself. They are running and changing their direction very quickly. If your spine is not stable, that won't allow them. Runners, as I said, they are also generating the force and transferring, propelling themselves forward. Swimming, again, you can see the role of core very nicely over there, because a swimmer is generating force from both the sides. They are generating force from the upper body as well as the lower body and propelling themselves forward. See this tennis player for serving, he take the kinetic energy and then again transfer this into the ball. The most common game of the India, that is cricket. If you see the fast bowler, they generate the force by taking a big run up, and that run up generated force is being transferred to the ball to bowl fastest possible and accurately. So you can in general say that it is a pivotal component. It helps in maintaining the position and motion at trunk over the pelvis. And as I said before, production, transfer and control of force. As I said before, there is one Punjabi's model given for the stability. So any joint is having a stabilizing system, which is being stabilized by passive subsystem, that is your articular surfaces, your joints. So in the case of spine, your vertebral architecture is helping the passive subsystem or providing you passive subsystem of stability. If you talk about the active subsystem, which is, see, passive subsystem is not in your control. Whatever structure has been made by God or you are having from birth will be continued. The second system is active subsystem, which is made up of muscles. So that is in our control. The strength of muscle can be increased as per the required demand. So you can control this. And the third component is the neural component. Neural control, your brain is working to stabilize. As I gave you very first slide, when somebody is trying to push you, it is your neural system which sense the instability and make your all muscle contracted. So as I said, that major source of spinal stability come from the second component, which is in our control. The importance is the exact muscle or correct muscle should be contracted at the right time with the right amount. Here, it is not the single out of those 29 muscles. If your single muscle or two muscles or three muscles are strong, your core can be considered as strong. No, they all should work in a uniform way, unitedly, coordinatedly. This is one representation of a joint, which is having this blue lines as a stability of ligaments, and this red one is your active muscle stability. So if it is not being provided with the stability, what will happen? Your this disc will be compressed. So this activity is best understood as a pre-programmed integration of local single joint muscle. As I said, the multifidus small muscles and the multi-joint muscles like psoas or other big muscle, spinal group and abdominal muscle group. According to, on the base of this system, the Bergmark has also proposed one model of stabilization and their contribution. He has divided the stability into two components, that is global muscles and the local muscles. So if you see as a whole, this is your core stability, which is being provided by transverse abdominis, rectus abdominis, external internal obliquus, pelvic floor, multifidus and diaphragm. That we have already seen the anatomy also of those. So what is the contribution of local versus global system? If your local muscles are activating, what they do? They are the short segmental muscle, as I said about the multifidus. They initiate the proprioception and kinesthetic sensors. And that way they provide the stabilization. The global muscles, they act together and increase the intra-abdominal pressure, and by that way they provide the stability. So what all are the components of core stability? If you see core stability as a whole, as I said, it is not only one quality of muscle, that is strength is required. Here your all four qualities of muscles are required. That is strength, coordination. So all these muscle groups should work coordinately at the right time, at the right place, and with the right amount. You need to have an endurance also, because these all are major muscles are integrative muscles also, so they have to be contracted for a longer duration, and they should have a balance among them. What will happen if there is a poor endurance? Poor endurance and motor control error leads to the back injury. So a specific core strengthening program can be, it improves the dynamic postural control. As I said, that joint sensors also should be activated. It allows the entire kinetic change, and it increases the neuromuscular efficiency also. So as I said, if it is a weak core, it will decrease force protection and efficiency, that may lead to further injuries. Now, how to assess the core muscle? As I said you, that here not only the one factor, you just check the strength of muscle and say that your core is good, it is not correct. So you have to check for the muscle imbalance. You have to see for the orthokinematic deficit. You have to see all the 4 components, as I said: strength, endurance, neuromuscular control, and power, and also the overall function of the lower extremity kinetic chain. So there are few common tests which are being used for the core muscles. They are: number 1 is prone instability. Next one is prone extension endurance test, which is also known as Behring-Sorensen paraspinal endurance strength. The third one is, most common one, is prone plank. Another one is flexion endurance test, endurance test, which is for the quadratus lumborum endurance, pelvic bridging, leg lowering test, trunk curl, hip external rotation strength. There is modified Trendelenburg test. There are all that place. So let's start with the prone instability test. What will we do? We take a person to the edge of a couch, keeping their feet relaxed on the floor, and the therapist from the backside try to put or push stability. What will happen? A person will, in the apprehension of pain and instability or excessive movement, will try to extend, and they will lift their feet from the ground. So patient lifts off the leg off the floor, which is the most common sign that of the instability. Second test is flexion endurance. We only say the abdominal curl. We stabilize the feet by use of belt and ask a person or player or athlete to sustain this position for a duration. The prone extension endurance test, where we take a person to the edge of couch, stabilize the lower limb with the help of bands or Velcro, and ask them to hold this for a duration. The side bridge, side plank test, where you take it into the side bridge. In this test, we are assessing the core muscle as a whole, not a single lumbar multifidus or a transverse abdominis. That is also a part. You have to assess each and every muscle function individually for the strength, and here we are combinedly assessing the core. The pelvic bridging, you have to be very careful that there should not be any compensatory movement. The posture or alignment of the body should be maintained properly. Then very important test is prone plank. Here what you have to see, that there should not be excessive hip movement. There should not be the pelvic rotation or tilt. The shoulders should be kept properly, and the head should also be kept properly. So you have to maintain all the curves of the spine normally and hold this position for a duration. So how much duration? How to score this? The scoring is being done on the basis of this scale. If a person is able to hold these positions for more than 6 minutes, it is excellent. If he is able to 4 to 6, it's above average. 1 to 2 average, and I am sure we all physiotherapists will come mostly in this cadre of average or below average one. Another test is straight leg lowering test, where what we do, we take a inflated blood pressure cuff, keep it at the lumbar lordosis level, and then we take the person's leg to the 90 degree, and then we gradually ask him to lower it. While lowering, we have to see for the changes in the blood pressure cuff. The next test is trunk curl test, where we ask a person to keep both the heels on the hands of the therapist, and then we ask them to do the abdominal curl. Another test is the neuromuscular abdominal neuromuscular control test, where again we take a person into the supine lying position with the knee and hip at 90 degree. A blood pressure cuff is being placed between. Ask a person to indraw belly into spine. We ask a person to compress the abdominal contents and try to keep abdominal towards the spine. And then we ask the lowering of the leg. And we see the changes in the blood pressure curve. As I said that we have to check for the endurance and power. So this is for the endurance test of erector spinae muscles. You keep a person into the prone lying position, keep both the hands on the back of your head and ask to extend and keep it for the certain duration. Apart from these tests, we have to do for the lower extremity, kinetic test, balance test, jump test, power test, and any of the sport specific skill. As you know that what I said about these normal tests, they are not very much suitable to the players because they are doing the athletic activity where you have to see for the functional movement. So for that, the functional movement screening was developed by Cook. That FMS is an evaluation tool aiming to assess the fundamental movement pattern of an individual. That is more specifically an injuries risk screening tool. And this test is comprised of 7 fundamental movement patterns, that is deep squat, hurdle step, inline lunge, shoulder mobility, active straight leg, trunk instability, push-ups, and rotatory stability. So that requires mobility and stability, all 3 components. Most of these tests assess actually the functional movement. Is the scoring being given 0 to 3. The 0 is the worst and 3 is the best score. This is the deep squatting. In all the tests, the most concentration should be given to keep the normal alignment and posture of the body. This is hurdle step. This is inline lunges. For shoulder mobility, this is active straight leg raise. Again, while performing this, you have to see for the pelvis movement, you have to see for the thoracic curvature. This is trunk stability. When you raise your alternate hand and leg, how to interpret it is, as I said, 0 to 3 scale. The 0 when pain occurs while performing these exercises. This grade 1 is when subject is not able to complete the movement or assume the required position. 2 point, the subject is able to complete the movement but must somehow compensate it. And the 3 points, the subject is able to perform the movement without any compensation. So 3 is the best. What is the guideline for the stability training program? As I said, you have to concentrate on the all component of muscle property like power, strength, endurance. So this program should be very much systematically planned as per your need and requirement of a person. It should be progressive so that you can achieve the better results, and it should be more functional. If you see about which type of contraction of muscle should be targeted, here all the 3 type of contraction should be given: concentric, eccentric, and isometric. And you should be able to provide the more challenging environment so that a person is doing more of the functional thing. So the guidelines, if you talk, it should be a more of rich program. So you should give more challenges of unstable base. It should be safe. It should be challenging. It should stress in the multiple planes. It should incorporate multi-sensory environment. It should be very much activity specific. It should be progressively taken from slow to fast, simple to complex, low force to high force, eye open to eye close, and static to dynamic side.